Hey, AB here from B&H. Over the past year, a lot of our audio subscribers have asked us to provide more videos on tips and techniques related to pro audio. So of course we've listened, and now we're refocusing some of our efforts on making these types of tutorials. I thought it might be good to start with some videos on EQing, showing you different types of EQs out there and how to effectively use them in your productions. Before we dive any deeper though, let's do a quick recap on what an EQ is. Obviously, most of you who have had experience with audio know what I'm talking about, but if you're a true beginner and don't know what an EQ is, it simply stands for equalizer, which is a tool that lets you shape a sound by manipulating its frequencies. Have you ever adjusted the bass, treble, or mid-range on your car stereo just to get it sounding right? If so, you've definitely used EQ on a very basic level. In music recording and mixing though, these adjustments require much more precision. And that's when you'll have to decide what kind of EQ to use and how to manipulate it to get the result you're looking for. There are a handful of different types of EQs out there, but most fall under 4 basic categories: shelving, semi-parametric, graphic, and parametric. Thus, our first video in the EQ series is graphic EQ versus parametric EQ. Parametric EQ. The parametric EQ is really the most powerful, most customizable EQ available to us, and most DAWs out there have their own version of a parametric EQ. So if you're using Pro Tools, Logic, Studio One, Ableton Live, or another favorite DAW, you've probably seen and even used the parametric EQ on your tracks. What makes it the go-to standard for audio professionals worldwide is that it gives you a lot more flexibility to tailor the sound to your liking by giving you the following controls. A, choosing a specific frequency to tweak. B, gaining that frequency, also known as boosting or cutting. And C, controlling the width or the Q of that boost or cut. Most good parametric EQs will have at least 4 or 5 frequency bands with which to work. In the case of a 5-band EQ, for example, that would be low, low-mid, mid, high-mid, and high frequencies. This one from FabFilter is even more flexible, allowing you to simply double-click anywhere in the frequency range and create as many specific locations where you'd like to edit a particular frequency. Notice how much flexibility this gives you in terms of being able to customize how you're going to shape the sound. I can pretty much take any frequency and make any kind of adjustment to it I'd like. Now let's move on to the graphic EQ, which on the other hand has several bands at fixed frequencies across the spectrum. The main difference with these EQs is that the shape of the Q, remember that's the width, is the same on each band and not adjustable. So there's no way to dial in how little or how much of a frequency and its surroundings you really want to manipulate. We're definitely making changes to the sound here, but we're limited to how much change we can make. This is not to say that a graphic EQ isn't a powerful tool. The API 560, for example, is a great sounding EQ that is used by pros every day, both in hardware and software formats. So it really depends on what you're going for. In fact, one could argue that you may use a graphic EQ for general sound shaping purposes, and even perhaps for the sound of the EQ itself, while a parametric EQ is more suited for surgical, precise fixes and edits. Well, that's a general overview of parametric versus graphic EQs. Stay tuned for the next video where I show you how to use a parametric EQ to shape your sound. Thanks again for watching, and please take a quick second to subscribe. This is AB, and I'll see you next time.